There is a certain kind of man that the world pretends to despise, yet secretly admires. A man that every woman, whether she admits it or not, feels the shadow of his presence in the deepest chambers of her imagination. She will never confess it openly. She will deny it with words. She may even laugh at the suggestion. And yet, something in her instincts whispers that this figure, this monster, is different from the others. Not a monster of cruelty, not a brute of blind rage, but something far more dangerous. A man who cannot be controlled, a man who cannot be bent by the tides of emotion, who does not crumble at rejection, who does not beg for approval, who does not plead for comfort. A man who has mastered himself so thoroughly that the judgments, opinions, and manipulations of the world have no claws in him. This is the monster society fears. This is the monster women secretly desire. And this is the monster you and I are called to become. But why call him a monster? Because in a world of weakness, self-discipline looks monstrous. In a world where most men sell their souls for attention, the one who needs no validation looks like a beast. And in a society addicted to distraction, the man who can sit alone in silence becomes terrifying. And to those who are enslaved by their passions, the man who has chained his passions appears inhuman. Seneca once wrote, "No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity, for he is not permitted to prove himself." The monster is born in the fire of adversity. He is shaped by trials that would crush ordinary men. He is not addicted to comfort. He thrives in discomfort. He does not seek to please everyone. He seeks to master himself. And because of this, his presence alone carries a weight that others cannot ignore. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor who ruled an empire yet wrote to himself in private, confessed a truth that few dare to face. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Strength. That is the word. That is the essence. Every woman desires strength, not the strength of muscle alone, but the strength of composure, the strength of a man who will not collapse when the world tests him, the strength of a man who stands when others fall, who speaks when others are silent, who remains calm when others lose control. But here lies the paradox. She desires it, yet she fears it. For strength that is unyielding also reveals her own weakness, and in the mirror of such a man, she sees her own vulnerability reflected. That is why she will never admit it. And here lies our path. We do not chase admiration. We do not bend ourselves to be desired. We walk the path of self-mastery, not for women, not for society, not for applause, but because the highest duty of a man is to command himself. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus warned, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Freedom does not come from wealth, from power, from reputation. Freedom comes from ruling the passions within, the anger that blinds, the lust that enslaves, the fear that paralyzes, the pride that deceives. The monster every woman secretly desires is none other than the man who has conquered these inner tyrants. Let us go deeper. Imagine two men. The first is charming, flattering, desperate to please. He says what he believes she wants to hear. He fears her silence, her disapproval, her withdrawal. He hides his insecurities behind jokes, gifts, or words. He is liked, maybe even loved, but never respected, for his soul is chained. The second man does not flatter. He does not kneel before opinions. His eyes do not tremble at rejection. He does not explode in rage when tested. He stands in silence if silence is required. He speaks truth even if truth cuts. His presence disturbs because it cannot be manipulated. And while many will call him cold, distant, even cruel, there is an undeniable magnetism about him. Which of these two men is more desired? Which of them is remembered long after he has left the room? We know the answer, and that is why the first is ordinary and the second is monstrous. For to live without chains in a world of slaves is to appear monstrous. This is what Marcus Aurelius meant when he wrote, "If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment." Do you see the abyss now? The abyss between the ordinary man who begs for approval and the monstrous man who requires nothing. One is dependent, the other is free. Dependency breeds weakness. Freedom breeds power. And the monster every woman secretly desires is the man who is free. The weight of desire. But here is the cruel irony. If you pursue women, if you chase their approval, if you live your life trying to win their admiration, you will lose the very strength that makes you desirable. You will trade the steel of your soul for the sugar of her attention, and she may give it, but she will not respect you for it. Seneca warned of this weakness when he said, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." The man who scatters himself in the pursuit of pleasure, who bends himself in the chase for validation, is nowhere to be found. He loses himself in the hunger of others. But the man who withdraws, who stands firmly within himself, who is not desperate for anyone's approval, that man becomes a pillar. And though the world may mock him, though women may deny him, deep within they feel the pull of his gravity. Because women, like men, are drawn not to weakness disguised as charm, but to strength disguised as silence. We must remember that the monster is not violent, not abusive, not arrogant. He is disciplined. He is calm. He is in control of himself when everyone else loses control. And this, more than anything else, is what makes him magnetic.
Becoming the monster. Now let me tell you something that will sting. You are not this man, not yet. Because if you were, you wouldn't need these words. You would not need to be reminded of your strength. You would already be walking in it. But here you are, and here I am. And that is not a weakness, but an opportunity. For the path of transformation begins in honesty, and honesty demands we confess our chains before we can break them. Epictetus taught, "It is not things themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them." This means that the chains that bind you are not external. They are not women, not society, not your circumstances. They are your judgments, your passions, your fears. You must kill them, one by one. This is the monstrous task. This is the battlefield no one speaks of, the war not fought with swords but with silence, not with blood but with endurance, not with enemies outside but with the armies of chaos inside your own chest. And when you conquer there, when you emerge from that war, you will not be the same. You will not even recognize yourself, and neither will the world. The silent battlefield. The greatest war is not fought on bloody fields or in the clashing of armies. It is fought in silence. It is fought in the private hours of the night when no one is watching, when your own mind begins its whispers. This is the battlefield where men are either forged into steel or broken into ash. The enemy is not out there, not in women, not in society, not in fate. The enemy is within. Your own anger, your lust, your envy, your fear, your endless craving for approval. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Think about this. Every chain that enslaves you begins in your own thoughts. Every outburst, every mistake, every weakness is born from the empire you have failed to govern, your own mind. That is why the monster must rise. He does not conquer nations, he conquers himself. And yet this is precisely why he is so rare, for most men would rather blame the world than master their own soul. Most would rather numb themselves with distraction than sit in the fire of discipline. But not you, not us. We have chosen a darker road. A road where comfort is the enemy and pain is the teacher. A road where each step feels heavy, but each step makes us unbreakable. The three tyrants within. Let us be honest. Before you can become the man who cannot be shaken, you must name the tyrants who rule you. They are three. Lust, the hunger for pleasure, for validation, for the touch of another, for the temporary fire that burns and fades. It enslaves men, makes them beggars, makes them lose their dignity for the illusion of intimacy. Anger, the beast that blinds, the surge that makes you say words you regret, make choices that scar you, and destroy bonds you cannot repair. Anger is not strength, it is slavery to impulse. Fear, the silent poison, the hesitation that keeps you from speaking your truth, from walking your path, from standing firm. Fear is the shadow that whispers, what if you fail? What if they laugh? What if they leave? Lust, anger, fear. These are the three tyrants that turn men into slaves. Epictetus taught, no man is free who is not master of himself, and until you conquer these tyrants, you will never be free. The monster every woman secretly desires is the man who has slain them, or more truthfully, the man who slays them daily. For they never die permanently. They return again and again, and the battle never ends. But this is why he is admired, even if never admitted, because while ordinary men are devoured by these tyrants, the monster confronts them with discipline and silence. Daily war. Now you may ask, how does this monster live? How does he behave in the ordinary rhythm of life? He does not waste his mornings. He does not crawl from bed like a slave. He rises with discipline, not because he feels like it, but because he has commanded himself to rise. His day is not governed by comfort, but by duty. He speaks little, for he knows that words reveal weakness when thrown carelessly. He does not flatter, he does not beg, he does not explain himself to everyone who questions him. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one. This monster does not need to announce his strength. It is seen in his silence, in his composure, in his refusal to crumble when the world presses against him. When insulted, he does not erupt. He simply looks, perhaps even smiles, knowing that another man's rage is not his burden. When rejected, he does not beg for love. He continues his path, for he has not built his worth on another's acceptance. When fortune turns against him, he does not curse fate, but bears it with the dignity of a soldier marching into battle. Seneca said, fire tests gold, adversity tests the brave. And the monster is gold refined by fire.
The shadow of desire. But let us return to the paradox. Women desire this monster, yet will never admit it. Why? Because to stand near such a man is to be reminded of one's own chains. His strength exposes weakness. His composure unmasks insecurity. His independence reveals dependence. And so she will resist admitting it. She will call him cold. She will accuse him of arrogance. She will even claim to despise him. But deep within, she feels the pull of a man who cannot be controlled, the pull of a man who does not need her, yet chooses her, the pull of a man who can walk away and lose nothing. That is the essence of desire, not desperation, but freedom. And though she may never speak it, though she may deny it with every word, the truth remains. Every woman is drawn to the man who cannot be broken. The cost of becoming. But let me warn you, this path is not glamorous. It is not easy. It is not the path of applause. To become this monster is to suffer, to sit in silence when you crave distraction, to endure rejection without bitterness, to fight lust when your body screams, to calm your rage when the world spits in your face, to walk through fear when every nerve begs you to run. It is to choose the harder road again and again. Epictetus was once a slave. He walked with a limp from the beatings he endured, yet he taught his students, difficulties show what men are. Difficulty reveals the monster, comfort buries him. And so if you want to awaken him within yourself, you must suffer willingly. You must embrace the trial. You must not run from adversity, but walk into it, knowing that each step in the fire hardens your soul. A presence that cannot be ignored. Have you ever noticed how some men enter a room and no one notices? They smile, they speak, they laugh, but their presence evaporates like mist. And then there are others, men who enter silently, without announcement, without effort, and the atmosphere shifts. Eyes turn. People feel it without knowing why. That is not charisma. That is not charm. That is the aura of self-mastery. The monster every woman secretly desires carries this aura. Because when a man is not enslaved to his passions, he carries a weight others cannot explain. He is free in a world of chains. He is calm in a world of chaos. He is silent in a world of noise. And the world cannot look away. Our road. We must make a decision. Do we continue as ordinary men, chained by lust, anger, and fear, living as slaves, begging for approval, tossed by every storm? Or do we take the darker path, the path of fire, silence, and discipline? The path where comfort dies, but freedom is born. The path of becoming the monster that no one admits to desiring, but everyone secretly respects. We know the answer. Because somewhere deep within you, a voice is whispering even now, I was made for more. And that voice is not lying. But it demands a price, and the price is everything. The path of transformation. To speak of becoming this monster is one thing. To live it is another. Many dream of it, few walk it, and fewer still endure long enough to embody it, for the road is not paved with comfort, nor is it lined with applause. It is a lonely road, silent, merciless, and often misunderstood. But it is also the only road worth walking. Marcus Aurelius once warned himself, do not dream of what you have not, but reckon up the chief of the blessings you do possess, and then thankfully remember how you would crave for them if they were not in your possession. Gratitude, discipline, and composure. These are not accidents. They are forged through practice. And practice begins not in the grand moments, but in the ordinary hours of daily life. If you would become the monster, you must train not in fantasy, but in reality.
Step 1. The discipline of mourning. The ordinary man wakes when his body demands it. He reaches for his device. He scrolls. He numbs. He postpones. His morning is stolen before it begins. But the monster rises with command. He does not obey comfort. He gives orders to himself. He rises before the world can demand his attention. He faces silence before distraction can drown him. Epictetus commanded, how long are you going to wait before you demand the best for yourself? This is the essence of the morning, to demand the best from yourself before the world begins its noise. No excuses, no bargaining. A silent rising as a soldier rises to duty. For if you cannot command yourself in the first hour of the day, how will you command yourself when adversity strikes? Step 2. The discipline of silence. Ordinary men speak endlessly. They argue, they justify, they explain. They throw their words into the air like dust,
hoping to be seen. But the monster knows the weight of silence. He knows that restraint in speech is a greater power than endless chatter. He does not waste his breath in convincing. He does not argue to prove himself. He acts. Seneca taught, "It is a great thing to know the season for speech and the season for silence." The man who controls his tongue controls his presence. His words, when spoken, carry force because they are rare, measured, and deliberate. And in a world where everyone shouts, silence becomes thunder. Step 3. The discipline of enduring. Pain is the great divider. Ordinary men flee from it. They numb it, complain about it, or collapse under it. But the monster welcomes it. He does not seek unnecessary suffering, but when suffering arrives, as it always does, he embraces it as training. He does not ask, "Why me?" He asks, "How can this harden me?" Epictetus said, "Difficulties are things that show what men are." So he takes the cold shower not because it is fashionable, but because it teaches endurance. He fasts, not to impress, but to prove he is not a slave to hunger. He lifts the weight, not for vanity, but for discipline. He walks in rain, in discomfort, in trial, because he knows that softness is death. For life will bring storms, and if you cannot endure self-chosen discomfort, you will collapse under the storms you did not choose. Step 4. The discipline of desire. The monster does not chase. He does not beg for attention, for affection, for pleasure. He stands as an oak tree stands, rooted, firm, unshaken. He may desire, yes, he is human, but he does not let desire chain him. He does not lose himself in lust or hunger. He knows what Seneca warned. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. And so when others are slaves to their cravings, he remains composed. He can walk away. He can say no. He can stand in solitude and be whole. That is why he is secretly desired, because the one who does not need becomes irresistible. Step 5. The discipline of reflection. Every night, the monster examines himself. He does not scroll until sleep. He does not drown in distraction. He turns inward as Marcus Aurelius did, writing in the quiet, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a privilege it is to be alive, to think, to enjoy, to love." Reflection is his weapon. He asks, "Where did I falter today? Where did lust, anger, or fear conquer me? Where did I remain composed? Where can I be stronger tomorrow?" Ordinary men avoid such questions, for they fear what they will find. But the monster welcomes it, for he knows that without reflection, without brutal honesty, no transformation is possible. And so, each night, he sharpens his soul as a warrior sharpens his blade. The monster in daily life. Now you see how he lives, quietly, disciplined, unshaken, not loud, not theatrical. He does not need to announce his strength because it is seen in his posture, in his calm, in his refusal to break. When insulted, he does not lash out. When tested, he does not beg. When praised, he does not swell with pride. He remains the same, as a mountain remains the same in storm or in sunshine. And here lies the truth. This constancy, this unshakable composure is the rarest quality in the world, and it is the quality that draws women, even if they deny it. For constancy is security, composure is power, silence is magnetism. That is why the monster cannot be ignored. The monster and love.
Now let me say something dangerous. The monster is not incapable of love. He is not without tenderness, without affection, without intimacy. But his love is not desperate. His love is not weak. His love does not beg, cling, or collapse. He gives because he chooses, not because he needs. He loves as an emperor loves, freely but without slavery. And this is the love that women crave, though they will never speak it, the love of a man who can live without them, but chooses to live with them. For what is more magnetic than a man who does not need, yet still gives?
The cost of the crown. But remember, the crown of the monster is heavy. It demands sacrifice. You cannot live like ordinary men. You cannot waste your hours. You cannot indulge in every pleasure. You cannot explain yourself to every critic. You must live with restraint. You must live with silence. You must endure loneliness. And this is why the path is narrow. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. To walk this path is to be misunderstood. People will call you cold. They will say you are arrogant. They will say you lack feeling. They will not understand that your silence is not emptiness, but strength. That your composure is not apathy, but mastery. And so you will walk alone, but you will walk free." The revelation. And here is the final paradox of this part of our journey. The monster every woman secretly desires is not truly a monster. He is the man who has broken his chains. He is the man who has mastered himself. He is the man who has chosen discipline over comfort, silence over noise, composure over chaos. He is not the enemy of humanity. He is its highest possibility. But in a world where weakness is the norm, strength will always appear monstrous. And so, we must embrace the name. Better to be called a monster and live free than to be called ordinary and die a slave. The presence that shifts the world. What happens when a man truly masters himself? The world cannot remain indifferent. His very presence becomes a mirror. His silence unmasks the noise of others. His composure exposes their restlessness. His discipline reveals their weakness. When he enters a room, it is not his words that command attention, but his being, for he is not scattered, he is not enslaved, he is not divided, he is whole, and wholeness is magnetic. The Roman Stoic Musonius Rufus once declared, "The greatest and most admirable trait of all is the ability to master oneself." This trait, though admired, is feared, because it unsettles. It reminds others of the chains they have never broken. It confronts them with the truth they avoid. And so they call him names, cold, arrogant, distant. But secretly, they cannot turn away. For strength is rare, and the soul is drawn to it like a flame. The monster and women. Now let us speak of women again. They will never admit this truth openly, for to admit it is to confess that ordinary men do not satisfy the deep instinct for strength, for safety, for composure. But beneath layers of denial, there is always the silent pull, the pull toward a man who cannot be broken. The monster does not chase. He does not flatter. He does not drown himself in gestures of desperation. He does not crumble under rejection. He does not live for her approval. And yet, precisely because of this, she feels his gravity. For women are not drawn to weakness disguised as charm.
They are drawn to the man who has no need. They are drawn to the man who chooses without desperation, who gives without slavery, who loves without begging. Seneca put it plainly, the greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. The monster has reached within. He has claimed what others seek outside, and this makes him whole, and a whole man is irresistible. The monster and men. But the monster is not only desired by women, he is secretly feared, admired, and hated by men. Men trapped in weakness will despise him. They will gossip. They will ridicule. They will call him detached, heartless, even inhuman, for his strength is a silent judgment on their weakness. But men who yearn for strength will admire him. They will follow him. They will seek to learn from him, for in his example they see what is possible. This is why Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." The monster does not preach. He embodies. An embodiment is contagious. His presence awakens dormant strength in others. That is his true power, not to command with fear, but to inspire by example.
The monster and society. Now imagine a society filled with ordinary men, chained by lust, anger, fear, addicted to comfort, desperate for validation, easily manipulated, easily distracted. This is the society we already live in. Now, imagine one monster walking among them. His silence disrupts their noise. His calm unsettles their chaos. His freedom exposes their chains. Society will resist him. It will try to shame him, distract him, lure him back into slavery. But it cannot succeed, because he has already killed his chains. And so he becomes an unmovable presence. He may not lead a nation, he may not command armies, but by living in mastery, he becomes a living standard, a reminder of what man was meant to be. Epictetus told his students, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." The monster has said to himself what he will be, and he has done it, and that alone changes everything around him. The monster and himself. Now we reach the heart of it. The monster is not built for women. He is not built for society. He is not built for applause. He is built for himself. For the highest victory is not external, it is internal. It is to wake each day without shame, without self-disgust, without regret. It is to stand before one's own reflection and see not a slave, but a free man. Epictetus told his students to first say to himself what he would be, and then do what you have to do. The monster has said to himself what he will be, and he has done it, and that alone changes everything around him. The final transformation. But beware, the path does not end. The monster is not a finished product. He is a process, a daily battle, a constant war. Each day lust will return, each day anger will whisper, each day fear will creep, and each day he must fight again. This is why Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, tell yourself, I have to go to work as a human being." It is work, it is labor, it is repetition, but it is also transformation.
each choice to endure discomfort, each choice to remain silent, each choice to control anger, each choice to walk through fear, each choice sharpens the blade of his soul. And over time, the blade becomes unbreakable. The dark inspiration. So we stand here. We have named the monster. We have walked his path. We have seen his presence. We have felt his power. And now we must decide, will we remain ordinary, chained, begging, distracted? Or will we take the darker path, the path of silence, of discipline, of fortitude? Understand this, if you walk this road, you will be misunderstood. You will be mocked. You will be called names. You will lose friends. You may even lose lovers. But you will gain yourself. And that is the only victory that matters. For the monster every woman secretly desires but will never admit is not a beast, not a brute, not a tyrant. He is the man who has mastered himself. And in a world of slaves, that mastery will always look monstrous. So, rise. Rise not for her, not for them, not for anyone else. Rise for yourself. Command your mornings, guard your silence, endure your pain, conquer your desires, reflect in honesty, walk in discipline. And when the world looks at you with fear, when women look at you with desire they cannot admit, when men look at you with envy, when society looks at you with suspicion, smile. Smile because you have broken your chains. Smile because you have become the monster. And nothing can move you now.